I need you to understand something right from the start because this matters. When it happened, I didn't scream. I didn't curse. I didn't fall apart the way people expect you to when something like this happens. I sounded calm, almost polite, and that calm is what saved me later, even though it nearly broke me in the moment. Because when you've been underestimated your whole life, when people have decided who you are before you open your mouth, you learn how to keep your voice steady while everything inside you is shaking. And that day, all I honestly wanted was one normal afternoon with my kid. That's it. 1 hour where I wasn't the governor's wife or the lawyer or the woman people have opinions about. Just a mom on a blanket in the sun. 3 sentences and a cop told me to get on the ground, ripped my dress in front of strangers, terrified my son, and treated me like I was disposable. He didn't know who I was. Yeah, that happened. And here's the thing. That ignorance is the whole point of this story. It was a warm Tuesday in Brightwell, one of those coastal cities where the air smells like salt and flowers and nobody looks like they're in a hurry. The kind of place where tourists take pictures of trees and locals pretend they don't notice them. There's a park downtown, Hargrove Commons, old oak trees, a stone fountain, wide grass that makes you want to sit down even if you didn't plan to. My husband Daniel had been governor for about 3 months at that point, and if you've never lived through an election campaign, let me tell you, it drains something out of you. Not just sleep, not just patience. It drains your sense of being normal. People stare, they whisper, they project things onto you that have nothing to do with who you are. That morning, Daniel was in the Capitol fighting over a budget with people who smile for cameras and stab you with spreadsheets. I was standing in our kitchen thinking, I don't want security today. I don't want earpieces and SUVs and that feeling like I'm being watched. I just want to take my son to the park. So I did. And yes, looking back, maybe that was naive. But I refuse to believe wanting to feel human is a mistake. My son Miles was 5 at that age where everything is fascinating. A leaf is a discovery. A rock is a treasure. He kept running back to me with things he found, and I kept pretending each one was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. I laid out a blanket, kicked off my sandals, sipped iced tea, hair-down sunglasses on yellow sundress catching the breeze, and for a few minutes I forgot. I forgot the last name. I forgot the politics. I forgot that some people already hated me without knowing me. I was just watching my kid throw a blue frisbee near the fountain, smiling like the world was exactly what it should be. Then I felt it. A shadow. Not the kind that moves gently across the grass. The kind that stops. Like a wall. Ma'am, you need to pack this up. The voice was flat and sharp, no warmth, no question in it. I opened my eyes and saw 2 police officers standing over me. One older, thick neck, red face hands hooked into his belt like he owned the ground he was standing on. The other younger, thinner eyes darting around like he wasn't fully comfortable being there. The older one's nameplate said Hollis. He was standing close enough that his boot was actually on the edge of my blanket. That detail still bothers me more than it should. I sat up slowly and asked calmly, "Is there a problem? Officer, I've spent years across from aggressive men. You know what I mean? I know how to keep my voice neutral." Hollis didn't answer the question. He just nodded at the blanket and said, "No loitering. We've had complaints about squatters." Squatters? I blinked. I honestly thought I misheard him. I'm having a picnic with my son. It's 2 in the afternoon. He looked me up and down in that way that makes your skin crawl, like he was deciding something about me. "Yeah, we know the drill. Blanket lounging, next thing you know, you're sleeping here overnight. This park is for citizens, not for people who don't pay taxes." There it was. That little sting people pretend isn't racist, isn't classist, isn't loaded. I felt it, but I swallowed it because my son was watching. Because escalating with a man like that wearing a badge rarely ends well. I stood up, slowly brushed grass off my dress and said, "We're leaving. We live nearby." He laughed, actually laughed, and said, "Sure you do. Let me see your ID." I reached into my tote bag and felt my stomach drop. No wallet. I remembered exactly where it was sitting on the table at home because I'd switched bags in a rush. All I had was my phone and my keys. "I don't have my physical ID," I said, hating how tight my throat suddenly felt. "But my name is Naomi Carter." "No ID," Hollis said, turning slightly toward the younger officer like he was giving a lesson. "Claims she lives nearby." Classic. "I'm not resisting," I said, firmer now. "I'm explaining." He stepped closer. Too close. "I don't care who you are. Hands behind your back." For a second, I honestly thought he was joking. "Are you serious? I'm a mother with my child." That's when Miles stopped running. He walked up and wrapped his arms around my leg, his little body shaking. "Mommy." I tried to keep my voice steady as I told him to go stand by the bench, but he clung tighter, and then Hollis barked, "Get the kid off her." The younger officer hesitated. I could see the conflict on his face. He reached toward Miles gently, and something primal snapped inside me. "Don't touch him," I said, and I pushed his hand away. It wasn't an attack, it was instinct, but Hollis's eyes lit up like he'd been waiting for that exact moment. Assault on an officer. He shouted loud enough to turn heads across the park, and he lunged. What happened next lives in my body more than my memory. Hollis grabbed my arm and twisted it behind my back so hard I cried out. My sandal caught on the blanket. I stumbled, and instead of steadying me, he yanked me upright like I was nothing. The fabric of my dress tore under his grip, that awful ripping sound loud enough that I swear the whole park heard it. Suddenly my shoulder, my side, my bra were exposed to the open air. I gasped and grabbed at the torn fabric, trying to cover myself, humiliation crashing into me harder than the pain. And then my son screamed. Not a cry, a scream. The kind that tells you something is very wrong. Hollis slammed me against the oak tree, the bark scraping my cheek, his knee digging into my thigh, pinning me. I wasn't fighting to get away. I was fighting to protect my body, my dignity in front of strangers with phones raised. "You have no right," I yelled. "You're making a mistake." "Stop resisting," he said, like he was reading from a script. People were gathering now, tourists, joggers, phones up recording. Someone shouted, "Leave her alone!" Hollis turned and threatened the crowd, his hand dropping to his taser like he wanted to escalate. The handcuff snapped around my wrist, tightened until it bit into my skin. I looked at him, then really looked, and something in me went cold. I memorized his face, the little details, because part of me already knew this wasn't over. I leaned in and said quietly, "You ripped my dress. You terrified my child." He leaned closer and whispered back, "And I'm booking you for assault, resisting, and public indecency." He said it like a victory. Then my bag spilled open on the grass, and everything changed. Out fell my planner, leather-bound, the state seal stamped in gold, and my phone started buzzing non-stop. Hollis froze. The younger officer picked it up, hands shaking. The screen lit up with the caller ID, Daniel Carter, governor's office. I watched the color drain from Hollis's face. "Answer it," he hissed. The rookie swallowed and put it on speaker. Daniel's voice filled the air, calm but edged with something dangerous. "Naomi, where are you? I'm leaving the meeting early. Security's on the way." The park went silent. I straightened my back, torn dress and cuffs and all, and spoke clearly into the phone. "Hi, Daniel. I can't make dinner. I'm being arrested in Hargrove Commons by Officer Hollis. He assaulted me, tore my dress, and handcuffed me in front of Miles and dozens of witnesses." There was a pause heavy enough to feel. Then Daniel said very quietly, "Put him on." Hollis took the phone like it was a live wire. "You have 5 seconds," Daniel said, "to remove those cuffs from my wife and step away from my son, or you will lose your badge and your freedom." Hollis tried to explain, tried to lie, and Daniel